right, 2.1, hypothesis and sources of data. Let's go to the beginning. So a hypothesis is a theory or statement that is either true or false. So you're making a statement with a hypothesis. You're not making a question, and you're not creating in such a way that there's ambiguous. You're either you're making a statement that is true or false. False. For example, we're going to have an example of this a little bit later on in this unit. So in this unit, in Chapter 2, we're focusing on things that involve statistics. So let's look at statistics. What is statistics? Well, statistics is numerical data, or the collection, organization, and the analysis of numerical data. So what we do here is we look at information and we analyze it. Statistics is the analysis of that data. Example 1. Write a hypothesis about a relationship between the variables in each of the following examples. So, driver's age and accident risk. And the second part, school attendance and marks. So, we need to make a statement about driver's age and accident risk. It can be true or it can be false, but the idea is that we have to make a statement about driver's age and accident risk. So here's an example of a statement. Now remember, you would have to be able to state whether that statement is true or false. So here's our statement. As driver's age increases, accident risk increases. Now, you may state that this statement is true if we're talking about someone in their 80s versus 90s. Maybe this might be true. We might say that this is false if we're talking about somebody who's 16 years old versus somebody who's 25, or somebody who's 20 versus somebody who's 30 years old. So but this is a statement that we're making, so it could be true or false, but basically we're saying as driver's age increases, accident risk increases. That's our statement. What about school attendance and marks? What can we say about this? Well, we can make a statement to say, as school attendance increases, marks increase. That might be true or that might be false. Again, maybe it's someone who takes academic classes but should be in applied. Their marks may not be necessarily increased and they go to school every single day. So the idea is this statement could be either true or false when we look at the answer. All right, moving on. Primary data. So in order to make those statements either true or false, we have to collect data. To collect data, we're going to collect either one or two types of data. First type of data, primary data, is original data that a researcher gathers specifically for a particular experiment or survey. So, for example, if you go out and survey someone all the information that you're looking for, that's considered primary data. You collect it, you record it, and you analyze it. So that is known as primary data because you collect the data. So you specifically gather that data. Now, secondary data is another type of data that can be gathered. And oftentimes, that data is gathered by someone else. So someone else has already gathered the data and for some other purpose. And what you do is take that data and use that secondary data to make statements from their data. So, for example, Stats Canada. Every year, every 5 years, a Canadian resident is supposed to fill a survey. So, a census. The census is then recorded onto something called Stats Canada. Stats Canada is secondary data that's been recorded and released to the public. From that, any data researcher, any data miner could actually go in and look at that information off of Stats Canada. That information that they find off of Stats Canada is considered secondary data. Now, don't be careful. Sometimes you have to research and get information and it can be considered primary data. We'll look at some examples. Now, data, don't forget, is used to test the hypothesis. So we're going to use data to test a certain hypothesis a little later on in this course. Example 2. State whether the following are primary or secondary data. So, John phoned 100 households in Peterborough to find out about pet owners. Slava checked store websites for the price of Easter chocolate. Maya used the website to analyze a teenager survey. So we need to know whether these are primary or secondary sources, secondary data that we're collecting. So this person, John, phoned 100 households in Peterborough to find out about pet owners. Okay? By actually phoning and doing the work, that's considered, that's right, primary data. Now, the next one. Slava checked store websites for the price of Easter chocolate. What Slava did is that he checked store websites, went in and looked at all different store websites for the price of Easter chocolate. So he did all the research. Now notice, he went into a website, but he didn't go to one website to find all the different prices of chocolate. He checked store websites, many different websites, for the different prices of Easter chocolate. So what did he do? He collected primary data. That's right, primary data. Now, Maya used the website to analyze a teenager survey. So what Maya did is she went into a website, found a survey in that website, and analyzed the information in that survey. So did she actually collect the data? No, she did not. She used the data to analyze. So therefore, the last one is considered secondary data. All right, so to recap, we're looking at statistics in this unit. We're looking at primary and secondary sources of data, as well as understanding developing a hypothesis and analyze different various forms of statistics and making hypothesis statements that are either true or false. Okay, folks, that's the end of the lesson. Have a numerical day.